Recording.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. Alex.
Okay, taking roll call. 6001, Michael Eichler.
Present.
6002, Alex Lopez. Present. 6003, Frank Wiggins.
Present.
6004, Rochelle Negro.
Here. Present.
6005, Patrick Parley.
Present.
6006.
She's not here.
Not here.
I didn't respond to my text either.
607.
Present.
There are 6 of 7 commissioners present. We have a quorum.
Okay, great. Let me show the agenda here. Okay, for the 2 guests that have joined us, we are striving for a very short meeting. Gentlemen, this is the agenda. As we know, it is just a discussion of our letter concerning the Maglev train, the environmental study. Do I have a motion for approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Okay, a
Second.
Michael seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Alex?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, great. Okay, so let me bring up the letter now. Hey, Michael, you watch the room here for a second. Okay, so here's the letter. Yeah, let me move this up. Okay, so just for the audience to know that this letter has gone back and forth between the commissioners. So this is the letter that we are giving a high level comments to both the Maryland Transit Administration and to the Federal Railroad Administration concerning the potential Maglev train that can come, the station especially, that potentially could be coming to our area. The purpose of the study is only addressing DC to Baltimore. So Alex and Mike, I don't know if we want to talk through the letter first and then we can talk about the comments.
Maybe I'll kick it off really quickly. So
Okay.
this letter is the culmination of the work of a lot of dedicated community volunteers and engaged residents. A working group, which is a subset of the Transportation Committee, met on April 14th to initially discuss this letter. And then the Transportation Committee continued that conversation at our meeting on April 27th. In addition, I know that there have been several single member district meetings on this particular issue. And so, you know, it's my hope that what we put together here is a kind of a consolidation of what I hope are consensus positions that we could take that are really focused primarily on transportation impacts, impacts on the local transportation network from the Maglev project as proposed. I think that through this letter, we're intentional in not staking a position either in favor or opposed to the Maglev, but we are certainly going to identify issues that with which we have concerns and that we think can be will need to be addressed and improved before the publication of the final environmental impact statement. This letter primarily looks at transportation issues, and I think that that's not because there aren't other types of issues that are worth considering. I just think that we are fortunate to have a lot of transportation experts and engaged residents on that particular issue in our ANC. So omission of things like zoning and other issues does not mean that the ANC doesn't care about it. It's just that we, I think, only had enough capacity to tackle this big issue. In order to go through these, I guess we'll summarize the comments, the bullet points here. These are recommendations which are further elaborated in the appendix. The first is that the Maglev station should attain the the mode share targets that are set forth in DC's Sustainable DC and Move DC plans of 75% of passengers arriving and departing by transit, walking, or bicycling. And that mode share should be achieved through direct connection with Metro Rail, integration with existing and planned bus and bicycle infrastructure, and a significant reduction in the volume of station parking. The station entrances at 1st Street Northwest and 4th Street Northwest should be reserved for emergency egress only and not used for general passenger boarding in order to mitigate traffic impacts on the surrounding neighborhoods. The draft environmental impact statement should propose further strategies to mitigate the economic, transportation, and quality of life impacts of the multi-year cut and cover construction project in New York Avenue Northwest between 7th Street Northwest and North Capitol Street. Rochelle, can you scroll down to the next page? Oh, that's it.
That's
Okay,
it.
so
Dave, that's it.
that is a summary of the bullet points. I'll kick it over to Michael. Rochelle, Michael, I don't know how you want to proceed. I think that we have.
So Michael did some additional edits. Why don't do you want to touch on that, Michael, in terms of the addendum part, or how do you?
Yeah, sure. So I think where we landed is a good compromise. The original format of the letter was kind of all one long letter, and we worked to make it a little more snackable. So now it's a short letter up front with an attachment, which is the more detailed content of the specific recommendations that come from 60, and a lot of the content in the attachment is really all the result of the hard work of the TAC and the special meeting that had adjourned to discuss and review in much detail the DEIS. So I don't know that we need to necessarily go through the rest of that. I think we're pretty much in agreement that the bullet points do a good job of summarizing the rest of the details and that support our arguments in the previous part of the document. And I think really, if we wanted to just focus in on this second paragraph where we have we have a little bit of a disagreement on how we want to frame the comments. I think there's clearly there are some individuals who are not in support of the project in general, but there are also residents who are excited about it, and we want to try to capture the excitement as well as the concerns. Our original attempt at that compromise includes this orange highlighted sentence that we are currently trying to figure out what to do with. I believe there are some commissioners who feel that it does belong in the paragraph because it reflects what they heard from their constituents at community meetings, neighborhood meetings, where they talked about the Maglev and other communications with constituents. But there is also some concern that, of course, while many residents are excited about it, maybe other residents are actually not excited about it. And the question then becomes, how do we draft a letter that captures all of the perspectives at the same time, right? I mean, really, we want to make sure that we've got a letter that does convey our constituents' perspectives. So, Rochelle, I think like we could either discuss changes to this sentence in order to make it more palatable to all members of the commission, or we could move forward in another way.
So let's just talk about just keeping. Many residents of ANC 60 are excited about the potential of this proposed high-speed transportation facility coming to the neighborhood. However, and then the next line. So I know, Alex Lopez, that you are not in. Can you please explain why?
Oh, just simply because this sentence, it seems superfluous and a little bit wishy-washy. Many residents are excited.
Well, that's true.
However, many residents are not excited. Many residents have serious concerns.
Mhm.
So, my recommendation is just to take this out, because anytime I think that you have a sentence where if you wrote the sentence with exactly the opposite verbiage would be equally correct, I think that that's an indication that it's not really adding much to this letter.
So my concern is, and I agree with many of the other parts, don't get me wrong, you are well aware of that, is that sometimes it's important to also set a little bit of a tone for us, for potential, partnerships, how we're looked upon. And that is a true statement, but the many residents also have the same concerns that are expressed in the letter. So I know that I like it. I don't know, I can't see Patrick because I have the thing on my screen. But if anyone else wants to speak to that, or Michael, or is Denise on? Did Denise come on, Michael?
I haven't seen Denise
Okay.
yet. Let me ask one question. For those who had meetings on this topic, was there like vocal dissent about the maglev? So, I mean, Rochelle, maybe you go first. Like, did you hear a lot of negative feedback from your constituents about the project?
So because we are right above the station, my single member district, which we're kind of like are the ground zero. This is a reality. And plus across the street at Patrick's area, there are many people there. The concerns are the same that are expressed in the letter, but the many people are excited and are looking for some sort of future transportation that is, I've ridden on a maglev and many people have. It's great. It's a whole nother experience. And I would hope that as a country that maybe it won't be the maglev. I don't know what it's going to be. Maybe this won't work out. But as a country, we have got to move forward in our transportation possibilities. And, this could potentially be very positive. And the fact that we are going to be maybe the big maybe, that we could potentially be basically the starting point for this transportation. I think for at least for my constituents, because we're ground zero, they are excited and they are aware of the concerns and they want to express their concerns about the construction because there's going to be many years of that, et cetera, et cetera. So that it does not fall on deaf ears, certainly about these concerns and the parking lot, that they all have the same concerns. But I can say in my single member district, they're pretty stoked.
So let me just what the question that I proposed to you, Rochelle, that I didn't quite hear the answer to.
Okay.
Did anyone arrive at your meeting with strong negative reactions to the project, other than the concerns that we're trying to have addressed with the letter?
Not that I can recall. I mean, I'd have to sit and literally listen to the whole thing, but I mean, they expressed concerns and they were at my single member district. They were there to learn about it and to get more information. And then my condo building, which is really ground zero, had its own separate meeting and, expressed the same thing, their concerns and all that. And I have talked with constituents that don't like the project. I'm not going to say that there is never going to be 100% with this type of project, right? It is so large. It is so impactful to our area. But yes, I have talked to constituents who are like, they're just not into it. And a lot of it has to do with how close they are to the construction. One of my constituents downstairs, her window is basically the sidewalk of New York Avenue. Well, she's not feeling this project, so.
Yeah, I'll speak on this as well. Yeah, so at my community meeting, there are people who are really pro and there are people who are really anti. I think what Alex said about you could write this sentence the other way, many residents are not excited about the prospect. Honestly, that's a true statement as well. So I take Alex's point there. Rochelle also makes a good point about, trying to set a constructive tone where we want to appear like the commission is willing to engage with the Maglev team. So to be honest, maybe I'm not being helpful, but I can live with or without this sentence. I think, it's not the crux of our point here. and the crux of our pointers to express our concerns. So, that's kind of my input on that.
So just so we don't go round and round on this for, as Michael and I promised each other, we won't go round and round. Is there any other suggestion? I would say many residents are, what did I say earlier, Michael? Looking forward to this potential future technology or something like that. I said looking forward.
Well, so is there any way that we could capture the range of sentiments that were collected at the meetings, instead of just, because this sentence does come off as being positive, right? And if we heard positive and negative, then maybe we need to reframe this sentence a little bit. And Christopher, I see your hand. Oh, and Denise is coming on. Okay.
Yep, Denise.
I see your hand, and but I kind of wanted to get
So,
through
so Christopher, I see you too. Okay, so the commissioners are going to work this out first, and then I'll open up to the community. Okay, I see you. All right.
So yeah, is there any way that we can rework this sentence that includes the range of emotions about the project, from very excited to like greatly opposed, as a way of just sort of being more fair about it?
Alex Lopez, you are the writer.
I would be okay with that. I also, the sentence preceding does identify a number of, and I think like a number of benefits that this project, may deliver. So.
Yeah, that first sentence is a positive sentence. Understands the benefit in the city rail that it's fast, convenient, affordable. That is a positive. But I understand Rochelle's position. I'm almost like Patrick. I understand you want to have a positive tone, but you also want to represent, because I have a spectrum that reaches from totally negative to happy about it. But the majority of the constituents that I spoke to was very concerned about the impact. This particular letter is actually focusing on impact.
Yes.
Most oftentimes, an impact could be negative and it could be positive. It could really run the gamut. That many residents of ANC 6E, it has to be adjusted. So if you're going to put it in there, it's going to have to show the spectrum, or at least verbalize the spectrum of pros and cons in a very short way, to say that the ANC is open to further discussion to meet the medium of constituents who are for and against this railway. Because I understand Michelle's position that you want to keep it positive, that we're forward-thinking people, but you also have that spectrum of people who are totally against this, and you have some that are open to development of this kind.
Understood. Yeah, and I don't say that there's. Trust me, there are plenty of people that are against the whole.
Yeah.
thing, so
it has to be like a happy medium as far as the letter is concerned.
So Michael.
Well, so are you proposing that perhaps I give it a shot to
Give it a shot.
And do we want to see what the community has to say at this point before we?
Yeah, let Michael's going to do his. Let me take it down for a second. Is Denise unmuted? Let me take it.
Yes.
Okay. Hey, Denise.
Hi.
Hello.
Okay, so let me take it down. So, do you mind, Michael? I'm going to take it down. Michael, I'm going to stop sharing. I have to be able to see people.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
that's fine. Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead. Hey, we got people.
Oh, look at the people. All right, now I can see everybody. So wait, where did Chris go? There you go, Chris. So we're gonna do some public comments now. So I'm gonna mute you, Chris. Hold on. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Hey.
So, thank you. And I especially want to thank my commissioner, Patrick. I know he's been incredibly engaged with constituents on this, and did hold a public meeting where, I too, like Rochelle spoke of, her constituents came to listen and to learn more about the project. I was concerned by what I read coming into that meeting, and I frankly was left even more concerned, and I relayed this to Patrick. We got no answers from the Maglev representative about kind of why this wasn't metro accessible, what the timeline looks like for an actual build out to New York, instead of just kind of saddling us with an empty leg to Baltimore. And so, you know, I come to this conversation with a forward-looking attitude, and the forward-looking attitude is why I'm really opposed to the project, because I want solutions for DC Transit that serve DC residents and not that serve a private corporation. I'm really worried that with this watered down version of the letter that I see here, which is different than what was posted publicly when we were invited to come to this meeting, which opposed the project, that we're not sending a message that we're in favor of sustainable, fast national transit. We're setting an example that we're set to get steamrolled by a private company that didn't do any of their homework, didn't put together a project that made sense for the District of Columbia, is talking about ripping New York Avenue to shreds for years, couldn't provide answers about how tall the build would be of the station house across the street from my window where I look now. So I work in PR day to day, and I've served in public office before. And so when I look at this letter, the reason that it feels so critical for the lead to be opposition is exactly what you're talking about. I've heard from you all individually, and I hear now that what the commission really wants is power moving forward to, if the Maglev folks are able to kind of push forward with this, have a seat at the table. I don't think that this letter does that. I don't think that kind of getting to a compromise that is going to appease the Maglev folks is the effort. And I understand, I'm one of those constituents who, you know, absolutely, please build a Maglev that gets me to New York in an hour. Please tie into a Biden-Buttigieg plan that builds out sustainable infrastructure across the whole country. But nothing that we've heard, I think, does that. And I think the responsible approach is for this commission to revert to a version of the letter that opposes, because that's the only way that you're going to get the attention. That's the only way that you're going to be able to do what leaders in Maryland have done, where in PG County and elsewhere, they flat out oppose the project. And it's the only way I fear that you all are going to move Councilman Allen and Mayor Bowser to really say, hey, in its current format, this doesn't work. And unless our government intervenes, we're literally going to get railroaded by the Maglev. So I really implore you all to change the language back, because otherwise all this does is create a talking point for a company that's literally running ads, trying to convince people that this thing has no downsides, and then showing up to meetings with presentations and not being able to answer the most basic of questions about why didn't you connect a metro? So I thank you again for your time.
Okay, no, we appreciate you. I think this is the first time you've zoomed in. Maybe not. He's muted again. Okay, any other questions from the community? Press *9 or use the raise your hand feature for all 10 of people that have joined us. Any other concerns? Okay, Michael. Oh, Ryan. Ryan came to my meeting. Hi, Ryan.
Hey, thank you very much, Rochelle. I just want to point out that, I echo Chris's concerns about the Maglev. I also attended a very long meeting of the Transportation Committee, the subcommittee that was dealing directly with Maglev. That committee for over an hour and a half talked about all of the concerns that they have about this project. I am happy to see some of their concerns embodied in this letter. So I do want to thank the commissioners for, I guess the commission has done a fairly thorough job, and especially the Transportation Committee and Subcommittee, and Michael and Alex, both, thank you very much. They've spent a huge amount of time investment on this project. And there were just a lot of concerns about the project that have to do with a lot of concerns with all the cars and traffic. While we were in that meeting, I briefly did the math on what would happen here, K Street, New York Avenue, next door to my building. And the traffic flow they're suggesting would occur would be up to 40 Ubers or taxis picking up and dropping off someone every minute during the time the Maglev is open. And anecdotally, I can tell you, you know, if 2 Uber Eats cars stop on K Street to pick up food at Busboys and Poets, that stops traffic. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, we can barely handle every few minutes an Uber Eats car here and there stopping. So how in the world are we going to handle 40 cars every minute, you know, stopping? That's just one anecdote, if you will, just from a common sense perspective as someone that lives around here. And it really made me think whoever put this proposal together did not even start to think about what's good for this ANC, what's good for the residents around here, how they're going to mitigate all these problems. Having the metro not even be part of the formal proposal and just kind of an afterthought that, well, maybe we'll look into that and we'll connect and we'll, you know, people will end up walking 2 blocks or 3, whatever it is, through this tunnel we're going to build, maybe. You know, if I was going to build a train station, the very first thing I would think of is how are we going to connect it to the metro? So just like Union Station is connected to the metro. And I know that our local government, you know, DC, the planning office has expressed lots of concerns about this proposal, saying that they were supposed to propose multiple sites, is what they asked for, and only one site was proposed. So we don't even see alternatives or what other things, you know, can be. And, you know, I myself, as some of you know, I'm a former ANC commissioner from DuPont and 2B04. And one thing I've learned is that when, you know, the ANC doesn't take a position on something, you do lose some of your power, I think, to negotiate, to step in, and to, you know, to basically exercise some authority or some power. So I would like to see the ANC taking a stronger position. You know, I think a lot of residents in the community have heard, oh, I'm going to get a fast train to New York in an hour. And they say, yeah, of course. But the people I know who have really dug into the details and read through this project in a lot of detail have seen one problem after the next. And I think that's the job of a lot of elected officials is you're in a position where you can do that, where you can look through all these problems and figure things out and be the voice of the community. So, you know, I really liked the draft of the letter I saw initially posted on social media. I'm not sure what happened to that between now and this meeting. I just kind of read some of it, what was on the Zoom call, but I had not seen that updated copy until the second. So I'm kind of surprised that we weren't forwarded an updated copy of it before the meeting so that people could look at it and see what's being voted on. So there's kind of a procedural thing about that, but I do think that I was surprised to see the letter kind of, maybe gutted is a strong word, but the opposition part of it firmly muted between a few days ago when it was on social media until this meeting. So again, I want to thank all the commissioners for their service and thank you for your time and thank you for listening to my comments.
No, thank you, Ryan. We appreciate you. Zoom in anytime.
So I was going to ask you not to unmute yourself because I had a question for you.
Oh, wait, where'd he go?
I got him.
I can come back.
I got you. Yeah. No. So
Okay.
so I just wanted to clarify that, like, that the version of the letter that we brought up today is basically the same thing that was shared before. Simply, it was kind of broken into 2 pieces so that there's a more manageable piece at the top, and then the I think we're calling it an attachment.
Appendix. Okay.
Attachment, right,
Attachment.
is the details that were all in the main letter in the first place. So it was literally just rearranged in a way to make it a little more digestible. So I'm curious, is like, what else do you, or I mean, is that not, I don't know, I'm just kind of curious as to like how, whether those small changes do you feel really drastically altered the letter, and how we might continue forward with this more kind of 2-part structure in a way that you feel could bring back some of your feelings about the project. And just if you want to answer.
Sure. Yeah. If you can give me just a quick second. I'm trying to access. I'm not even sure if I.
So, and let me just.
I guess the bottom line is I felt like that at the top of the letter, in the last version I saw. I believe the word objects was used. The ANC objects to the project. And I feel like that's been removed from some of the opening paragraphs that the ANC had an objection to the project. And there was another version before that said the ANC opposes the project. So I guess this letter is more clear that the ANC is not taking a position. It's at least my interpretation from the first few paragraphs. And the prior versions of the letter I've seen all either use the word objected to or opposed the project. So this letter, in my opinion, was just, and again, Michael, I want to thank you for all the time you've spent as a commissioner on this project, and all the other commissioners. And Patrick, also, I want to thank you for all the time you've taken to talk to me on the phone, and my husband, we've had multiple conversations. But I guess that's to clarify my feedback. That was my feedback, is there's not an indication of, I'm getting the feeling that the ANC does not support the project, that some of the commissioners may not oppose it. I'm not really sure where you folks are at as far as that's concerned, but that's my point, is that the language is a little different in the opening paragraph, which, a lot of people, that's all they read is just the first few paragraphs to get the sense of it. And also, I mean, a very good PR firm could perhaps spend this letter as saying that the ANC was supportive of the project, when that may not be the ANC's intention. So
and that's the reason we're not doing a pro, a for, or an against. That's why we're putting our concerns about the garage, about the construction, about the traffic.
right. And I mean, I understand that's your position, Rochelle. I was just asking the commission to consider taking the positions they've stated in earlier letters, which say words like object to or oppose. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate
No,
it.
thank you. I see Christopher again.
Yeah, sorry, and thank you. I just to piggyback on that and put a finer point on it. I found the version of the letter, Rochelle, that you had posted, I think a couple of days ago, and it says in the open, it says voted to object strongly to the build options included, and it's right up front. So I mean, that it's a substantive. It's not just a stylistic and arrangement change. It's a substantive change. And so I mean, I understand if the commission does not have the votes to actually strongly object. I would, I would offer again that I understand that there's a desire to be kind of forward looking. I've heard that phrase a couple of times, and solutions oriented. I just don't think this letter is forward looking, because it doesn't clearly articulate in the open, which may be as far as other elected officials across the district and NBC4 and others who report on this get. So I think that you to the extent that there are concerns, I think it at least needs to say up front, you can acknowledge that people are excited about the possibility of mass rapid transit for the Northeast Corridor, but I don't think that you need to acknowledge a kind of a position on infrastructure writ large in a letter that is about a particular project. Yeah. So if there are concerns about the project, at minimum, we have concerns about the project as outlined, needs to lead. Otherwise, this letter does nothing but serve as fodder for the Maglev folks to repurpose and say, see, we have the ANC in questions support, and people are excited about the project.
Okay, thank you, Christopher. All right, anyone else before I move on?
So, Rochelle, can I, I think that Christopher and Ryan both raised very compelling points, and the initial wording as was described from this letter was the ANC in the first paragraph, ANC 60 voted to object strongly to the build options included in the DAS. Yeah. So that object strongly is not to the project itself, not to the technology, not to having a high-speed rail between DC and Baltimore, but objecting to the build options. Yeah. I would like to do, can we do a straw poll among the commissioners to see, because the edit that took it from object strongly to its current version
Yep.
was done, in the document. Can we do a straw? I'd like to do a
Well,
straw.
let me ask you this, you were okay with that edit? We were okay with that edit. You were, when we did that edit, you were okay. We all were okay with that letter has gone around and you were okay with that edit. So the meaning of that for me, and I will stand with my opinion, the meaning of this letter is that we are talking about our high level concerns. We are not talking whether we are for or against the project. It could be equally misconstrued with that line.
I think the line is clear that it's not for or against the project, it's for or against the build options and the DEIS. And, if we do want to leverage this letter for political support out of the council member's office or from the mayor's or the Office of Planning, I think it's imperative that we be clear about our position.
I feel the letter is clear. It was presented to you. You went over the letter. It was presented to all the commissioners.
Well,
The only edit that you made.
Can we take a straw
The
poll?
only
I think that would be.
Let me finish. The only edit that you made was to that little excitement line. Right? Am I correct?
Right, but
Michael,
we're
Patrick,
in real time at this meeting.
You went over the letter. I get your concern, Alex, but the letter was looked at by the commissioners over the weekend. And I think that's the letter that we need to vote on. All right. Ready? You can vote no.
That's,
What's
Rochelle, I mean, with all due respect, what?
So I think it changes the
How
letter.
would have a,
Here's where I feel it changes the letter completely.
how do other commissioners, I mean, how do other commissioners feel about this? If I'm the only commissioner that supports this change, I'm happy to put this to rest, but if, I'm interested to hear from others on the commission.
Okay, let's go. Well, I said it was gonna, didn't we say it was gonna be a short meeting? Well, we're wrong again, Michael.
Yeah,
All right.
It's all good. By the way, is the time for public feedback over? Because there is a hand being
Okay,
raised.
let's get one more. Glory, you get the last community. I'm gonna unmute you, Glory.
Hello, I hear the conversation about this particular letter. So I was just wondering, this letter you said is clearly about the issues.
Yeah.
So when will there be another meeting to finalize our rejection or what we decide how DC feels about the new plan? I mean, why will there be two meetings when we can just sum everything up right now as far as if we oppose it or not, instead of saying, okay, these are the issues, because I feel as though the company had plenty of time to give us their explanation of why this should be a good field for DC, Maryland, Virginia. And clearly they haven't really answered some of our questions. So right now I feel as though we should say yay or nay, instead of saying, well, these are the issues, because we already told them what our issues were. Now we send a letter saying, okay, this is our issue. And so I'm thinking, if it was me receiving that letter, I'm like, well, you guys already told us the issues. We couldn't explain it clearly because they didn't explain it.
Yep.
So why are we focusing on the issue when we could just say yay or nay?
So this letter is not to the Maglev people, the people who have gone around the city to us many times and to other commissions are for the what is their official Northeast Maglev, whatever the official title is, right? So that is the developer of the project. This letter goes to the Federal Railroad Administration, and officially with state of Maryland, Maryland Transit Administration. So that's who this is who the letter is going to express our concerns. The Maglev people can hear me complain about the traffic on New York Avenue umpteen times, and they've heard me complain about that proposal. But this is for the environmental study going to these two particular entities who have not heard from us at all, or from, you know, that they've had this open session for comments for now about 2 months. And the comment session ends on the 24th. So it's for us as a commission, it's now or never to submit some sort of letter, whatever that letter might be, to submit it.
But let me also note that this is just the draft part of the process, and there will also be a final environmental impact statement.
Yes.
That is also not a done deal. Just because they result in an FEIS doesn't mean that the project will be built. So there will be additional opportunities to provide input on the project in the future. A go, no go from the ANC will probably happen at a later date. Where we are now is kind of trying to shape the proposal into something that we think will be acceptable to us and to our neighbors and to our constituents.
And Glory, we can, if whoever is your commissioner, anyone in the world can submit comments about this project. So reach out if you know me or any of your commissioner or whoever your commissioner is, we can send you the link for comments. Anyone is welcome to make comments. And I've told many of my constituents to please make comments on your own, not just us or a single member district.
Can I make a point about just the letter?
Yeah.
So, you know, for folks who don't know me, my name is Patrick Parley. I represent 6005, the Mount Vernon Triangle area. That's the station head house, for instance, for the Maglev station will be located in my district. So it's something I've been following quite closely. Well and truly in my community engagement, you know, I did a public meeting specifically on this topic with the community. People have been reaching out to me ad hoc. There's a considerable group of people who are very much against the project. There's a considerable group of people who are for the project. And there are a lot of people who fall into a little bit of the middle, who have some concerns, who maybe don't know as much as they would like to know, or are still asking questions, waiting for some of the specifics that might come out in the construction phase. This, you know, after the DIS is over, we'll get some more specifics about the project in the future. The reason why I like this letter is because I feel as though it represents truly where people in my district are. You know, I think I would be overdoing it if I was going to vote for something that was, you know, I completely support this project, and I feel like I would be overdoing it if I was completely against it, because I don't feel like that's where people are. I think people have a lot of concerns, which I want to convey, and I feel that this letter actually does do that. But I don't think we're at a consensus point in my neighborhood where this is going to be taking place on whether we are fully for it or fully against it. And that's kind of why I like the current letter structure. And I'll probably hear from folks after this that say, you know, your letter is either too weak, or hey, your letter is too strong in the negative. And so that, you know, that's something I'll live with. But I just want to, you know, make those points to the community here as to why I support the current build of the letter.
And this is an ongoing process. That's for sure, for how long it's going to be. So, okay, Chris, Glory had the last comment. Okay, so let's get this done, Commissioner. Christopher, you've already talked. We got to get this done. You can yell at me later, Christopher. You can yell at me on the phone later.
So let me just toss one thing out before we, you know, solidify, right? So thank you for Patrick for your comments, and, you know, being really right on top of the station really does bring out the people from the woodwork. I didn't really get a lot of feedback about Maglev when I held a meeting that this was one of the topics. People wanted to talk about rats, litter, and traffic safety. So I appreciate the weight that your constituent feedback brings to the table. I think it is important just to acknowledge that this is, you know, not our only bite at the apple when it comes to weighing in on the proposal, But one of the things that I just want to put out there is that like where we are now, I think, is that we're all in agreement that we don't like the parking. We don't like the lack of metro connection. We don't like all these things. And it's really about the framing. And so one way that I could suggest we think about it is the letter could say basically, yes, if, or it could say no, unless, right? And I think there's two different ways that come with different amounts of power, right? Yes, comma, if you do all these things, is a very positive spin that encourages and allows, like there to be kind of some interpretation, but then no, unless is a much stronger position that really says that we need these things to happen unless, or we're not going to be in support of the project. And honestly, I said it to Ian's face when we were on a call with him before. It's like, if you want my vote, you're going to get rid of this parking structure and you're going to connect it directly to Metro, right? So clearly I am a no unless, but I was willing to work with some of the language here to find compromise within the commission. But if it were up to me, I would definitely choose a more strongly worded letter that basically said that these criteria need to be met at minimum in order for the commission, for me to vote yes in my role and on the commission. And for all I know, I won't even be on the commission by the time it comes to a final vote. But so my perspective is that the letter could be more strongly worded because I definitely don't want to see, I mean, if it were up to me and the station was either station plus parking plus 56% of the people arriving and leaving in personal automobiles, I would say no. I would say leave it, right? I only want it if we can have all of the mode, the climate friendly transportation options, the direct connection to Metro. So I would be in support of a more strongly worded intro paragraph to deliver all of the content that's in there.
So yeah, all I wanted to talk about was that one sentence. Now look, we're down.
Yeah.
I went down the rabbit hole on my own, right?
Perk pops off. So do we want to just go through the commissioners and just?
So what would that say though, Michael? So that we're all looking at it right now.
Well,
So forget about the excitement.
I mean, I was trying to go back to a previous version and make some additional edits, but like I'm not really sure how Google Docs versioning works. I don't know. I would like to hear what other commissioners have to say in response to what we've heard from the public, and just sort of bring each person up,
So let's do this a little bit so we can get this going here. So forget the excitement. All right, we're skip that whole sentence. So that was just. Okay, let me look at everyone here. I got to get this down here so I can see everyone. Okay, so forget that one sentence about being excited. Okay, so let's go around here. The way you compose this over the weekend, Michael, which is I find very favorable. Are you okay with it? Just a yes or no question.
So, sorry, just is the
Are
question?
you, without that sentence, are you okay with the letter the way it is?
Yes, I'm okay with the letter with that sentence.
Done. Alex Lopez, without that one little sentence, are you okay with the way it is?
I
Yes
think
or
it
no?
should be
We're not
framed-
debating. It's yes or no.
Well, have you made a motion?
No, but we're trying to get if we need to figure this out more or not.
I would like to, I've said, I think my position, I'd like to hear from the other commissioners
so
first.
Patrick, are you okay with the letter the way it is without that one sentence?
Yeah.
Okay. Frank, are you okay with the letter the way it is without that one sentence?
Yes.
Okay. Denise, are you okay with that letter, the letter the way it is without the one sentence?
Yes.
Okay. Kevin, are you okay with the letter the way it is without the one sentence?
Yes, I am.
Okay, let's go. Okay, so we're going to do a motion.
I think that there may have been unresolved comments further
Nope,
down in the
we
letter.
have done our little straw. I'm going to do a motion, and it's going to be for the letter without that little sentence that's in peach. Hold on one second so I can read it. Okay, you guys, I'm ready to do a motion. Okay. Okay, I move that ANC 6E submit this letter without the sentence, many residents of ANC 6E are excited about the potential of this proposed high-speed transportation facility coming to the neighborhood. And that we submit the letter to the Maryland Transit Administration and to the Federal Highway Administration. Do I have a second?
I second.
Kevin seconds.
Friendly amendment to the Federal Railroad Administration.
Yes. Go ahead, Alex.
That was it. You said Federal Highway Administration. I was friendly amendments. We should submit it to the Federal Railroad Administration.
Okay, the friendly amendment accepted. Do I have any questions about the motion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Kevin?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
Thank you,
motion
Madam.
passes. The letter will be submitted right away. Okay, we're done.
And thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you to the
Bye.
TAC and to Alex and Michael and everyone who commented. And thank you, commissioners, for zooming in, okay?
Right.
You can yell at me, Christopher. Call me later. Okay, he's gonna yell at me. Okay. All right. Goodbye, everyone. Take care. Goodbye.
Bye. All right.